Welcome to Chapman Academy. This is a platform for you to grow and advance your research writing skill. I encourage you to search for Chapman Academy, you subscribe and you share with your friends so that they can also join as we all grow and advance ourselves in the research writing journey. So, like I said, we are in the research methods writing. So we did the chapter 1, chapter 2, so we are in the chapter 3. So yesterday I treated the research designs, the study designs, so the various study designs. So I'm now taking them component by component. So today I'll be starting with cross-sectional study design. So I will talk about the general overview of cross-sectional study design. Then I talk about the key things that goes in cross-sectional study design, then the specific studies that are best fit for cross-sectional study, the limitations, and then the strengths of a cross-sectional study design. So when we say a cross-sectional study design, cross-sectional study design involves collecting data at a specific point in time. So when you are taking cross-sectional study into your study, it means that at the end of the day, you are going to do your data collection in a point in time. So when you say a point in time, it means that you take the data at once. So every person has only one opportunity to partake in the data collection. So after you've done the data collection, you are not following them, you won't go back to see them. So you are just taking the data at a point in time. And also it provide a snapshot for the population. So it makes it possible for you to identify the population and give some characteristics. The study design gives some characteristics of your study population. And then it is mostly used in epidemiological study, public health study, and then social science studies. So these are some of the key characteristics of a cross-sectional study. Cross-sectional study, data collection, at data collection session, it is collected at one point in time. The survey is a survey, so it is collected at one point in time. You just see the person. If the person is part of your inclusion criteria, you take the data from the person, you seek the consent of the person before, then you take the data, you don't follow the person again. And then also it is focused on prevalence, so it is good for prevalence studies. It's able to determine the prevalence of a certain condition among the population that you are doing your research among. And then also there is no follow-up, you don't do follow-up on them. So after you've taken your data today, tomorrow you don't go looking for them for any further engagement. So it is once and for all. That's why we say taking the data at one point in time. And then it is observational. So when you are applying a cross-sectional study to your study, you are going to observe your participants and then you will be recording. You don't put them into an intervention. So if it is behavior that you are assessing, based on the particular behavior, you assess them based on that. Or if it is the outcome that you are looking for, then you also follow them, you observe them to see what outcome that you will get. So when we move to the studies that are best fit for cross-sectional study, that is prevalence studies. So let's say you are looking for the prevalence of hypertension, prevalence of galamsey in Ghana. So these are the best studies that can fit them. So when you use cross-sectional study, you'll be able to determine the prevalence of the particular condition or a particular outcome. So it best fits for prevalence studies and also descriptive study. So you want to describe, people know how your community is being distributed. How many of them are female? How many of them are males? How many of them are children? How many of them are social workers? How many of them are unemployed? How many of them are doctors? How many of them are researchers? So it gives you the descriptive analysis of your study, so that at the end of the day, you'll be able to know how your community is being distributed. So fast forward, it is also for explanatory study. So when your explanatory study is mostly done when the study area that you are conducting your research, there is not, or there is no more information there. So there is not enough information to base your findings on. So you do exploratory. So you try to explore to know what is actually happening. So you just want to get information on what is actually on the ground. So that's why we say exploratory study design is used for exploratory studies. And then comparative studies, it is best fit for comparative studies. So when you are comparing the effect of socioeconomic status to access to quality healthcare. So you try to compare how high socioeconomic status influence access to quality healthcare. So it is best fit for comparative studies. You can use it to compare two things, and then how knowledge also influence acceptability of condom in a way of preventing STIs. So these are the things that you can apply cross-sectional study on in order to achieve your objective. And then also, it is also good for needs assessment. It is good for needs assessment because at the end of the day, you want to know what the people are lacking, and then what they are in need of. So it helps you to know the things that the community members are in need of. So because you are running a study to check on their health infrastructures, their socioeconomic level, and then their quality of health. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to know where the community is falling short and then where they are also improving. So that based on that, you can make a quality judgment on the things that the community members need. So needs assessment studies is also one of the best fit for cross-sectional study designs. Then it is also good for CAP study, that is knowledge, attitude, and practice. So when you are doing any study on knowledge, attitude, and then practice, you can use cross-sectional study design to assess these three things. And it is very good for it to predict for you, yes, your findings. It is very good to use cross-sectional study for CAP studies. And then we have the strength of cross-sectional study design. Almost all the study design, they have their strengths and then their weaknesses. That's why there are some topics that best fit for others, then it will not best fit for other study design. So when you pick cross-sectional study, it is cost effective. Cross-sectional study is a very cost effective study design because when you are working on cross-sectional study design, you don't spend much. One, because you are taking the data at a point in time. And then mostly the sample size is also less. You take very less sample size to to your study, unlike ecological study that you need a whole lot of participants, even community level, so which means you spend a lot of money on. But to cross-sectional study, you need very few participants and you take the data at a point in time. And then also it is time efficient. You don't spend a lot of time on it. You don't spend a lot of time because you are not following the people to a certain time interval or time period. It is just one point in a time. You just take your data and then you are done. So it helps you to save time if you are working on a fast moving project. Then also it is able to determine the prevalence. Like I said, it is able to determine the prevalence. So it is for prevalence studies. Any study to check the prevalence of anything, how many people are doing this, how many people are not doing this. All those studies, they are best fit for cross-sectional study designs. And then it is also simplicity. It is very simple to conduct. It is very simple. And then its analysis is very simple and then straightforward to conduct a cross-sectional study. Then it is simultaneous. Like I said, you'll be able to compare multiple things at one point in time. Be able to compare multiple things at one point in time. How socioeconomic status can influence accessibility to quality healthcare. And then quality healthcare will also lead to improve in the optimum health of someone or the people, the general community. So these are the things. So you'll be able to measure two things or multiple things at one point in time. With the limitations, timing of data collection, because the data is taken at a specific point in time, sometimes you might not get the participants that you want. So it also affects your studies. And then also, let's say if you are working on malaria, and we all know that during the raining season, the malaria cases increases. So when you take your data at those period, it might also affect your your results, because maybe what you are looking for, you might not get it because you took the data at a specific point in time. Maybe you could have the chance to conduct the study at the dry season and then also take another sample at the raining season. But this one, since it's permit for only one point for data collection, it sometimes influence your results. And then also bias. Recall bias is one of the limitations because you are asking them questions, then they are giving you responses. So maybe sometimes they might have forgotten some of their experience. So let's say maybe lived experience during COVID-19 era. So you are trying to ask them about how their experience was during the COVID-19 era. They might find it difficult to recall what happened because it's been a long time that they had that experience. So this is one of the bias or one of the limitations in cross-sectional studies. And then also we have the selection bias, because the selection is sometimes not too restricted like cohort study and then intervention studies. So sometimes people try to recruit people that they are in their confinement. So they don't put in more comprehensive selection procedures. Yes, so it's one of the limitations of the study. And then it is also limited to confounding factors or variables. So confounding factors or variables are the factors that influence your results. So let's say you are taking data among women of reproductive age, that is 15 to 49, and within your confoundment, you found out that most of your participants were within the age of 18 to 35, and then you see that only 3 people are 49 years. So when you run your mean age, it is going to affect your mean age because the age difference from 35 to 49, which is very wide. So these are the confounding variables that we are talking about. But notwithstanding, cross-sectional study is good to use, and then it is fast for project works, undergraduate project works, so that they will be able to work on it as soon as possible so that they can be able to graduate. So this is where I will end cross-sectional study design. Then I will take another study design, then we discuss it point by point so that at the end of the day you'll be able to know what study design fit for your study. So subscribe to Sharpman Academy on YouTube, and then you share with your friends and then other pages that you are on so that they can also follow and subscribe to the lessons whenever updates are posted on the platform. Sharpman Academy. See you there.